Absolutely love the idea of background people, and that's exactly what I am. And most likely that's exactly what you are. Um I'm not saying that me or you can't possibly pop off one day and be one of the main characters of this world. I mean, others have done it. Just come out of nowhere, like in a lower level, like a Vivek Ramaswamy. Someone just comes out of nowhere and they're like, they have all this steam ahead of them. But for the most part, most of us are background people, and I think that like the sooner that most of us can kind of like accept that, the better off we are. And I have this concept where in the future, possibly if I make it that far, I mean, this is probably like 50 years from now, you know what I mean? So, unless technology keeps evolving as fast as it is, I'm not sure if we're going to keep evolving with everything going on with China. It seems like China wants to regress on technology, but whatever, I guess we'll regress on technology for a little bit of time and then we'll pick back up. The concept of background people. So we live our lives, we're going through our lives. So the main characters have people that they can see when they come out and about or whatever. And um, this is why I think a lot of people go towards religion because they feel like their own personal life probably really doesn't fulfill them much. And then that's why they start having kids and it kind of gives them a purpose. Yeah, like nowadays, a lot of kids, well, I don't know, I heard this a couple years ago, and it might not mean as much now, but it could be even more so now, that the number one things kids want to become when they grow up or at some point is a social media influencer. And I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm making social media. I can keep all my thoughts and everything, all my opinions to myself and just take it to the grave with me. But obviously, like when I make this content, it's to maybe somebody will relate, maybe it'll help somebody, maybe it'll wake somebody up, and then obviously, like, yeah, I like to have a little bit of a benefit for myself, get a little bit of extra clout because that means more money for me. But I don't really make any money off of any of this stuff. The most money I've actually made off of any of this is off of my music that I created. But they took it down off of all the streaming platforms. It's all on Facebook or TikTok or whatever now. But like I think I made like 300 $300 last year, 360. And to me, hold on a second. To me, that's like pretty solid for somebody who didn't use a recording studio, didn't have anyone helping them, but it is what it is. Like, the whole concept of fame, oh man, it's a fame is something that's so such a short-term thing. And some people can get fame really quickly, like for the day. Maybe they get fame, just for the day, and then like they just kind of go away. Uh, like the Hawk Tuah girl, you know what I mean? And she popped off really quick, got really, really famous. Everyone was it's like she really could have done a lot of cool things with herself. But the thing is like when you get famous off of one thing, like what she did, it's really hard to kind of like branch out and like it's kind of like a cheap fame. It's not really unless you can like really manage it really well and you got people that can help push you with their money. Like that's what people don't realize is most of the famous people you see, like popular people, And I'm not talking about sports. I'm talking about like musicians and possibly like political figures, social, maybe social media figures. Because if I had Alex Soros's money or any like Elon Musk's money, I can make my channel ultra famous. I could probably put all my resources into making this channel with all the marketing, having a team, having all this help instead of doing everything by myself. Um, I could push this to be like Joe Rogan, and I think that anybody could if they had enough money by buying ads. That's what it is buying ads. How musicians would get famous is possibly some talent would scout them out at some club and be like, oh, there's a lot of potential there. I like them, and then possibly they would go in for a deal. And the record companies were kind of like a marketing slash bank thing. They basically would front the money, and then they would get royalties on the backside that just pretty much go forever. And when you're a struggling musician, an upcoming musician, and you're offered to get that kind of a platform and a big increase in your standard of living, you're not really going to care about the royalties that just pretty much go on for like forever, or like 75 years. It is like copyrights are like 75 years or something like that. So a lot of these famous people are pushed by money. you give, especially back in the day. So it shows you where, and it's also like who networking, and people helping you out. What I'm seeing in the landscape of the social media hellfire landscape, fucking cesspool, that's the word I was looking for. I'm seeing a lot of repetitiveness, especially on my favorite one is X. A lot of repetitiveness from these big content creators, and they really, some of them are pretty solid, but a lot of them just like are riding on the coattails of other big content creators. It's really crazy for me to see somebody with like 300, 400,000 followers continuously being a reply guy on Elon Musk. It's kind of like every single day they are like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and I do that too, But it's like you get to a point where you're pretty big, you don't really need to do that anymore, and they're still kind of doing that, but they don't have any creative ability to think of something different, and they don't have anywhere to go. So like you might see them just using emojis all day. Like these people sit on that site basically all day, every single day. Could you imagine that? You have to sit on X on your phone basically all day, just looking at the news that's coming at you constantly. And I've done it, I had some time off. I've done it myself. A couple days ago when I started using X again, because I kind of took a little bit of a break, it started popping off. And I started like, that's cool. But, yeah, I don't think I can just do it all day, every single day. Like, as soon as I wake up, I'm going on X and just sitting on X all day. Basically all day, man. You have to. Because you have to catch up with, like, what's going on. Like, all the news. So you can be right there. So you can retweet it. So you can... whatever. But what I'm seeing out of these people is they're not... it's just, like, repetitive, man. It's just repetitive. Like, it's new news coming out, but it's just repetitive, and they don't bring anybody up with them. They don't really engage too much. One of the ones that I actually respect when it comes to bringing people up or engaging is somebody on like one of my political flows, and that's Ed Krasinski. Like he was one of the first big content creators, like a famous person that actually interacted with me, and I made an ass out of myself. So I was like, oh, like you go from kind of like a little bit of like not you're not getting anything really, not getting many views, to all of a sudden 80,000 views, and you made like you're looking at your post or whatever, and you're like, oh, well, this was my experience. And I'm like, I made an ass out of myself. Like, of all the posts, did that have to go kind of viral? It went viral for myself at the time. Obviously, 80,000 is nothing compared. Like, viral's like millions, you know what I mean? But like when you're a nobody like myself, and you do something like that, that's a big deal. You're seeing all these eyes on you, get all this attention. Everyone's hating on you if you said something stupid, if you misspelled. Like you get critiqued so crazy. Like any little thing, man, like they're just like critiquing it, and it's intimidating. And another one was like Cat Turd, when he blocked me when I basically, was challenging him, and because he was like going against Joe Rogan, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, why are you hating on Joe Rogan? Because he's not hating on Trump. Like, what, like, this is the dumbest thing you can do. And then like he screenshotted what I said, and there was a lot of eyes. Even like I was getting so much friendly fire from like people that were like had the same beliefs as me, man. They hated on me too. Like they hated on me hard, man. They were blocking me. Like people who were MAGA people on my side, were Trump supporters, were hating on me because I was opposing Cat Turd, their god. And it was like it was a pretty crazy night to have, like man, like I pop off like that. And these people have that on a daily basis, and you just get used to it, honestly. Like it's like anything else. You start a new job or something like that, and it's very intimidating if you don't know what the hell you're doing. Unless like you got a good trainer, or you can see other people training with you, and you can kind of watch them go first, and you can kind of see how it goes or whatever. But if you're just like, you just started out, and it's a little bit intimidating, but they get used to it. You just get used to it after a while. So, and I'm nobody big or anything like that. It's just like I've had like little itsy bitsy flashes of a lot of it, not a lot of attention, or in the millions, but like when you're a tiny nobody like me, like I'm like, when I make a video yesterday or the other day, talking about the houses behind me, and they kind of look like regular houses that are 3-bedroom, but like, to me, like, those people are so rich because I'm living in a shitty apartment. You know what I mean? I never owned a house, and to me, like, they're rich. You know what I mean? Because they have a house, like they own a house, and it's all in the eye of the beholder. It's such a great phase, and that's the thing, that like people in the old days, man, they don't get enough credit for how intelligent those people actually were. They really don't. Like, we think that they're stupid people from back in the day because they don't have as much technology as we have now, but a lot of the stuff that like we have now is because of like their ideas, and there's a lot of innovation. But the big thing I want to talk about is like the fame thing too. Like I want to get to, I don't want to get off of that too much, of the fame thing. So like whether you know a lot about like musicians at the time, or political figures, or sports figures, anybody who's like well known at the time, you always have like your top of the line. Like in the 90s, Michael Jackson, you know what I mean, the king of pop, and was in the 50s or something, Elvis Presley, the king of rock or whatever. And then you have like your kind of like little bit behind him, like, okay, like right now, the main characters in this time frame of life is Elon and Trump. Those are the two big dogs. And then like you kind of have like some smaller people who are definitely going to be remembered, but they'll be less remembered. So I'll use the analogy a lot of people can maybe understand is like, I like to use sports. So like Michael Jordan, obviously like the most popular probably athlete ever. And like, okay, how about Babe Ruth? Either one. Okay. So like the people at the time of Babe Ruth, or when I was growing up, Michael Jordan, I know a lot of players that I used to like, and probably like the kids are look at them like, who the hell are they? Like, so like back then the big names were, I mean, obviously like you get a Shaq or Scottie Pippen. There's other, I get a mind block, but like my favorites were like Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, and those are prominent figures. I mean, I think that they're probably in the top 100 and some of the like Hall of Fame type of deals, and obviously like a Larry Bird or uh, Isaiah Thomas. These people are definitely like remembered, but you don't have the main character like Michael Jordan, that he's the cream of the crop. LeBron James, cream of the crop. Like LeBron James is going to be the guy that gets remembered. It might be another one, maybe there's a secondary one, like probably right now is going to be Trump and Elon. But and obviously like I'm going to sports, like Babe Ruth, like how many like prominent figures who back then, like anybody who followed baseball probably knew a lot of players back then. But how many players do we really know nowadays from back then that are really, 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 really famous? I mean, I guess you could say like you get the names like a Ty Cobb, but he was a little bit before Babe, but he still played with Babe. But the granddaddy is Babe, and what happens with fame, even like celebrities, like celebrities, movies and stuff, people will do that stuff. You have your big names that everybody knows, you know what I mean? And then as people get older, as time goes on, and they stop being in the limelight as much, they're not being out there every single day and everyone talks about it, everyone knows who they are, because people get older, they retire, they're not really out there as much. One of the big ones, if anyone can remember, is Saved by the Bell. Kelly Kapowski, Tiffany Amber Thiessen. She was at that time, could have been a huge Hollywood actress, like huge potential. And she fell off, and she probably wanted to have kids and just have a normal life, you know what I mean? But obviously, like, people like me know who the hell she is, but who does like the new generation? Like, they don't know who the hell she is, because it's not out there in the mainstream. It's not out there in the culture. The culture is so huge to know like the big figures. Um, and you just people get forgot about the big. You can look at even not even talking about fame. And for me, I didn't really care about my family history. Like, I didn't really take too much of interest. Like, how many people, I don't know, really cared about what their grandpa did for a living, or their great 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 grandpa? Like, don't really know too much about our great great grandpa, right? Like, these people did exist, but what do we know about them? At this time, it's like, and I'm thinking, like, when I pass away, this memorabilia I have, these pictures I have, like, are they just gonna just go in the dump? What am I holding on to these things for? Um, because like the future generations, are they really gonna care about this? You know what I mean? It's cool for me to see, in my life. And my kids or whatever might pick out a couple pictures out of all the pictures or whatever. But most of us just aren't going to be remembered. We're just not going to be remembered. We might be a little bit more remembered now, because if we don't lose our digital reality, our digital footprint, if they keep all of our stuff, like if our Facebook or whatever doesn't get deleted, like that could be easily remembered. But it is a crazy concept to think about fame, and how it really doesn't last forever for like most, even like the prominent figures. People are forgot about, like how many people are talking about Joe Biden these days, and Joe Biden was everywhere just a year ago. And then now it's kind of like a hit or miss. Somebody has something to say, like, but like he's kind of forgotten about. Not saying he's not famous. I mean, he was the president, but like if you look at like how much he's in there now, it's like he's kind of like people aren't talking about him. He's out of the limelight, and obviously he's gonna go down in history. But like when I'm looking at history, like I don't even know all the presidents' names. Like seriously, isn't that bad? But I just don't care. I mean, not to say that I won't in the future, but your prominent figures. The first president. Obviously, everybody knows who George Washington is. That's what I'm talking about. He's one of the main characters. And then you have some smaller characters, and then you kind of had obviously Ben Franklin's a big one, like everyone knows, and Thomas Jefferson, and then I don't know, John Hancock, because we signed the signatures, which he's going to be forgotten about because we really don't need signatures in the future. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going to really use that for authentication. So, I think that he's might be going to, it's a weird concept that when you really think about it, when you take a step back from the grand scheme of things, and you sit here and you think about, man, what am I gonna be? What is my legacy? Well, yeah, man, I might have kids, and they'll remember me, and possibly, obviously my grandkids have, when you're in their life. But after your grandkids, man, you're pretty much forgotten about, even by your own family. So at that point, it kind of makes you feel, if you don't feel it, if you think if you're an atheist or whatever, and you think, whoa, what's the point? Because at some point, nihilism sets in. If you're not really, that's why people go towards religion. Right now, a lot of people going towards politics. Possibly I'm one of those people. I mean, I'm kind of into politics because I think it's highly important. I think that was one of the biggest elections in our lifetime that we just had, and they I think that's kind of wearing off a little bit. Yeah, I mean, midterms will come up, and the next president, it's gonna get its. I just think this was such a pivotal point in history, and it was so important for civilization to keep moving forward. In my opinion, I could be wrong. The people on the left think that Trump's Hitler. You know what I mean? So in their perception, we're going through Germany in the 1930s. That's what they think. I'm just kind of thinking to myself, I don't know what we're going through. I know we probably would be going through Germany in the 1920s if we didn't elect Trump, but we might still. Who the hell knows? But my thing is with that guy is let's wait and see. And when I do, sometimes I start getting frustrated, but when I listen to him talk, it kind of does soothe me a little bit, honestly. And I know it's supposed to be about fame, but that guy is famous anyway. Um, could you imagine like the spotlight, the constant spotlight on you all the time? Like that guy is probably going to be the most famous person ever, besides Jesus. I mean, Jesus was the most famous person ever, but man, that guy's up there with like Nero or, uh, um, I mean Socrates. Yeah, uh, those ones are big ones. But you know, like you hear like a Michelangelo. Michelangelo is the Michael Jordan of was it sculptures he did. He might, art. You think of art, you think of Michelangelo, but like there was probably other artists then too, but we don't know who they were. I'm sure what Van Gogh or whatever, but like they're not as known, and most of us will never reach that, and we just have to kind of like accept that we are not the main characters in this timeline, this simulation, this world, and we're kind of just background people, just like, some peasant working on a farm um, during, I don't know, the Civil War. Or, we're just kind of background people, and it's when you think of it like that, it's kind of it's humbling for sure, and it's kind of depressing, to be honest, too, to feel it. You are your own character of your own world, and you can control what it's like. This is why people have families, because it gives them purpose. Because most of us aren't going to be main characters. And you could be watching this, or a person in the future could be watching this unless I get banned, and think, become an actual main character in that timeline. Who knows how long this stuff lasts, you know what I mean? This stuff could be taken down at any time, so. Um. Yeah, the whole thing with fame is it's a weird thing, you know what I mean? It's you know what I was also thinking too, like I'm looking on here and I'm seeing it's kind of weird, like it's a weird predicament I'm in when there's like, so I'm not bragging or nothing like that. Like I got 13,000 followers on X, and then I'm seeing like WNBA people who they're on the video game, or like I'm playing college football, and then like I look up this person, and I'm looking and I'm like, no way, you have a little bit more followers than me, or even less. I've even seen like people in the NFL where they're like at my level, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's cool. It's definitely cool. I feel like I accomplished a little bit of whatever, but at the end of, at the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It really doesn't matter. It matters as much as like um that six man on your basketball team in the 90s who people pretty much forgot about. I mean, that's the thing, is we're pretty much all going to be forgotten about, so. And now people, I definitely do think in some type of there is extra power or some type of force, energy, gods, because that she it likes to play with me a lot, mess with me a lot for no reason. But I have a lot of frustration, but I'm getting to the point where I'm just kind of like, I don't care, like if I'm not supposed to have Bitcoin, like, then I guess I'm not. I guess I'll get squeezed. I guess when I go to Missouri, if I can't find a job and I gotta liquidate my Bitcoin, and Bitcoin drops to like 30 grand, and I gotta sell it because I need the money, whatever. I guess I get liquidated, At least I tried, and there's not really much I could do if nobody hires me. You know what I mean? And I'm not too worried about that. Um, but that I know that's off topic, but this is my channel, and that's the thing too. When you make a YouTube channel, if you make a YouTube channel, understand like, or any type of social media at this point is. I think that there's less viewers out here. I think there's less eyes. So not only are you dealing with that, especially like um politics, like you will have less eyes for politics. And people I think are using social media less. It's still being used, but it is oversaturated with so much competition for eyeballs, and it's hard to get ahead. And when like these people that you might get famous, you really could, but if you do, you kind of have to just go to that niche, and if you're lucky, you can go ahead and flip it to something else if you play it smartly. You know what I mean? Well, like Trump, you know what I'm like Trump or Elon, any of these guys, like Trump started out as a businessman, and now he's he went into like having his own TV show, and then now he's the president. So like if you can transition it to something else, that niche, because chances are that niche isn't going to last forever, and it will fall off. Either you'll get bored of it, or your audience will get tired of it and bored of it. And going off of that niche, it's such a like transitioning to something, another niche, to kind of like retain the fame instead of dropping off. It's such a like a you have to do it at the right time, because if you do it too quickly, people aren't ready for it. For instance, Marilyn Manson. This guy came out of nowhere, very popular. There was a big spot open for him after Nirvana, went bye-bye after Kurt killed himself, and he popped off. And a big thing was, I remember back in, high school in 97 and seeing all the gothic kids, like gothic freak thing, that was the popular thing with Korn and everything, like you're a freak. And I was in like kind of grungy or whatever. That was my I was like behind in the trends. But I think like his crowd wasn't ready for him to transition into Mechanical Animals, like that phase, like glam phase. I feel like, when he came out with Smells Like Children, and then he went into Antichrist Superstar, I'm not sure if he hit enough on that gothic, look, or not perception, but personification. I think you know what I'm trying to get to. The image. I don't think that his crowd was ready for that transition yet, and I think he might have done it too soon. But for him, like, dude's famous. You don't care. But yeah, I think that really, when he switched to like glam at that time, people either weren't ready for it, or they just didn't like that, what he went to. I mean, he was kind of like a shock rock guy. That's what he was known for. But he did whatever he want. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that was his niche. His niche was that anti-religion, uh, gothic. Man, when I seen him for the first time, I was creeped out. Seeing this guy with two different eyes, tattoos on his arms, where people were telling me that's where he did, like, he had a tattoo where he put in like heroin, or he took out his two ribs so he can like pleasure himself, like crazy things back then. And you're like, that is crazy. I don't know, it's a little bit taboo. Now that's definitely not taboo. And things have changed a lot, but a lot crazier now. But you just it's like you have to time it right. You have to have a feel for your audience, and if the thing is if you have the fame, the money will come, and it'll just be there. It'll just be there, and that's is why I think that most people aren't. Um, they're not meant to be famous, and I'm probably not. I'm not really good with talking. A lot of people are way more charismatic, better looking than me, way smarter than me. They have a lot more going for them than I do. So, what was I gonna get to? Oh yeah, this is my concept of like, it would be cool to copy and paste. I've said this before. Copy and paste X and just interact with robots, AI robots of people I like, just copy and paste the whole website of X, and then just give myself a ton of, everyone's following me, just like I'm like Elon Musk on there. I'm the main character on there. And whenever I post something or reply, like, you get everyone, even though it's fake, but what's the difference from what it is now when you're interacting on there? You know what I mean? It's mostly text anyway. So like, do I know if like the actual person is typing that or putting that out there, or are they using AI to help them generate content, or like write a paragraph, or argue against me, like it's not even really them. uh what is real anyway on there? So like, yeah, it would be, I would rather go on there and then be like, I'm not perfect, I don't spell everything correctly, and it would just be for entertainment purposes, honestly. Not all the time. It's simulating like being a celebrity, simulating being the main character, kind of like when you play a video game. Like, when you play a video game, like, who's playing a video game and wants to be one of the background people? Like, when you play a video game, you want to be the guy, you want to be the main character, right? So, because we get that fulfillment of being the main character, since we really aren't ever the main character in the grand scheme of things. We're the main character in our own life, you know what I mean? Like, but it scratches an itch, and I think that a lot of people who are, aren't meant to get notoriety, and it does affect their personal life. It really feels nice to get notifications. It really does. I'm not, you kind of like go on there and you do take it for granted if you get a lot, but it is pretty cool. You go, I understand why, women are the way they are, is because they get so much notifications. They feel like a damn celebrity. Like, honestly, they do. When I've had times where, even recently, like the last couple of years, where my matches would be going down in the dating sites or whatever, and I used to do pretty good. When I first did, I would just like, message a bunch of women or whatever, and I get some back that I'm interested in, and but I felt it on both sides. I felt that where I get a lot of responses, I get a lot of attention, and I felt like where I don't get much attention at all, and it kind of feels like, dang man, I ain't got no attention. And I think most of us nowadays we want some type of attention, and what I think is we're not really getting it from our own personal lives when it comes to like family and stuff, because everything is this stuff nowadays is so unnatural to the way we've been living for like thousands of years, if it not millions. I don't know how long humans have we been around. 6,000 years? Have we been around hundreds of thousands of years? I don't know, but I know that humans, as far as I know, haven't been living like this, that we're aware of anyway. Anything that we're aware of have never lived like this. Maybe like kings or royalty, like those people were like presidents, but like the amount of isolation that a lot of us, and I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us do have a lot of isolation, and it is getting worse. It is getting worse, man. It is becoming more. I think it's just normal, and I think that COVID had something to do with it. And but yeah, that's I've talked about that before. Yeah, but I don't. I think we can simulate in the future, and we already are. We already are simulating what it feels like to be the main character. But I think in the future we're going to really be able to, with technology, be able to feel like it is to be a celebrity and have that constant attention. But the good thing is we will be able to turn it off, and not kind of like, if you look at how Britney Spears is nowadays, and I don't know, she's obviously crying for attention, but like you get to a point where you can't even go nowhere. You can't even be a regular. You can't show your regular face out in public because you'll just get ambushed like the Beatles back in the day when they I guess when they first came to America, and then all the fans are just rushing them, and or like Michael Jackson, just like every single move, just cameras, always cameras, or all the spotlights constantly on you all the time, always documenting every little move you do, scrutinizing you all the time. I don't think the average person can really deal with that. And I've seen this. If you look at a good YouTuber, an up and coming YouTuber, he just started this channel last year, is Raymond's Thoughts. And I think he has 13,000 followers now here on YouTube. Really good channel. He's kind of like a MGTOW type of guy, Red Pill type of guy. He talks about economics. He wants his channel to be more about, I think, like, he talks a little about he talks about a little bit of, like, a lot of things, kind of like me. But like, you can tell, like, watching some of his live streams, when he reads the comments and he gets angry. I've seen other big content like Big Ward live streaming, and like they start blocking people and getting upset, and it does get to you, man. Like, that is what happens when you get notoriety. You're going to have to deal with people being negative to you, and um, you know, you never know what people are going through. They could just be being negative because they're jealous, or there's a difference between like constructive criticism or trolling, or maybe that's how they are getting big, is by trolling. I kind of troll people, being sarcastic in my sometimes I'll be sarcastic in my humor and whatever, but you know the way I act on acts. Like, if you read some of my replies, I'm definitely not like that in real life, because you don't have that threat of violence like you do in real life. Yeah, somebody can find me, somebody can find somebody, and try to cause harm in real life, but it's kind of like a little bit of a buffer, I guess, as opposed to like instantaneously disrespecting somebody and them kind of like freaking out instantaneously. So if there's any like content creators who are getting, and I deal with this myself, frustrated and the big thing on YouTube is you have to understand is the subscribers really is just a status symbol, and the people who are subscribed to you probably aren't going to watch your content that much, and that's my experience. I mean, other people's they might be different than mine, and I kind of feel like shadow banned on everything. To be honest, I've been suppressed. The fastest I've ever grown on any type of social media is on and they could have been bots, but there was real people I think too. Could have just been half and half. Was on TikTok when I gained like 10,000 followers in like a couple months. Man, that was so cool. Like popping out every single video I would popping out like you expect it to get 20,000 views, and then you start getting into the hundreds of thousands. It's so weird to like get into that where you go from hardly any views, not really, just kind of feeling like you're talking to yourself, kind of like I'm doing right now, to just having like all of these views thrown at you. It's such a cool experience. I got banned because of something I said, which is unfortunate that they ban you forever. It's just like, why are you banning me forever? Like ban me for a year and just let me come back and take those, dude. Like what? You don't see potential, like just because you didn't like something I said. Am I in jail? Did I go to jail for it? No. Okay, then like let me come back and I learned my lesson. Why am I being banned forever? And that's it. That's the thing with social media too. And it's kind of like we're at the whim of these companies who can just take down your hard work at any time. You could put so much time and effort, and you really don't have control. I can't wait to the time where I am my own company. I know it sounds weird. I am my own platform. I have my own platform. Everything I put up is going to be there, right? And then my AI just distributes it everywhere. And then, my own account can have its own like following or whatever, but I need to be my own social media company. I think we all need to be our own social media company, completely decentralized from the system where they can just take all of your stuff down. Even if I have to pay for my own digital storage, it's like, I'm pretty sure I can make money, you know what I mean, to be able to pay for that. I want to have my own like Facebook, but I don't want to have to worry about being taken down unless I've done something that like I broke the law and I go to prison, or I deserve to have everything taken down. That's understandable, but I really think it's stupid to like ban people because you don't like what they're saying forever. Like I'm you know how much talent, like you don't understand, like it's so crazy to cut people off at their knees where maybe not me, but like somebody else who could pop off, and it gains a lot of eyes to the product. Like I don't think these people are really thinking like, the reason why is kind of like when I was saying with Marilyn Manson. When you have too much money and you have so much power, you just don't care if you lose fans. You don't care if you lose customers, because everything is going so great. But what goes up must come down. So just because something like YouTube might seem like, this is what I said in one of my latest videos, just because YouTube is like all the eyes are here, people love YouTube, they love to come here for content, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever. YouTube could end up like the mainstream media is going to end up when the boomers start passing on. It could end up like Blockbuster. It could end up like Macy's. I think Macy's is out of business. Kmart. These were big, huge companies back in the day that are just... MySpace that's like the just because Amazon's popular right now doesn't mean it's going to be in the future. And I really think that is a lot of people take for granted the power they have, that it's just going to last forever. Same with America, same with China. You know, just because you have power now doesn't mean it can be taken from you. I mean, doesn't mean that it can last forever. And vice versa too. Like I gotta end this video soon, but I've been poor a lot in my life. You know what I mean? Growing up wasn't too bad. I was kind of like a little bit higher middle class than I am now. Like right now, I'm like poverty level middle class. I'm the bottom barrel of middle class. I'm not even middle class. I wouldn't even be. I'm just poverty level. I'm working class, but poverty level. And I've been in this position for like pretty much since I was like 18, I guess. 16. Since I was 16, I've been in this position. And you never know. Like, hypothetically, I mean, not hypothetically, but probably I'm going to be staying in this position for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm old. I mean, dude, I'm not gonna do sports. Younger, if I probably could have excelled in that. I'm not gonna start trends. I'm not gonna, the reason why I started making music again is because I want to get my word out. But I'm on my back nine, and is it possible I pop off? Like, yeah, it is. I could. They said that Rodney Dangerfield. I guess Tim Pool said he popped off when he's in his mid 50s, and he like struggled, basically trying to get famous, and finally he hit hard. Like, that guy hit hard. Pretty famous guy. You know what I mean? He was a prominent figure back then. So yeah, you never know when it could happen, if it does happen, where you know. But the likelihood of somebody like me, um, but I know for sure in this lifetime, I'm never going to be a main character, like somebody that's going to be remembered, um, like a Trump, like a Caesar, like a Christopher Columbus, or Barack Obama. Um, Not any of these prominent. I'm never going to be, and not even come close. So, for me, man, this is such a good video, dude. This is gold. Like, this is such gold. Maybe other people think differently, but I had something on top of my mind, and I distracted myself. Um, yeah, it's just social media. I wish I could pause this and then rewind it and yeah, I guess I'm just gonna cut it off. This video's long enough, so yeah, whatever.